You may talk of Clarenolan's ball or anything you choose, but it couldn't hold a snuff box to the spree at Killigrews. If you want your eyeballs straightened out, just come next week with me. You'll have to wear your glasses at the Killigrews soirée. There was birch rind, tar twine, cherry wine and turpentine, jowls and cavalances, a ginger beer and tea, a pig's feet, cat's meat, dumplings boiled in a sheet, and dandelions and cracky's teeth at Killigrews soirée. Oh, I borrowed Clooney's beaver as I squared my yards to sail, and a swallowtail from Hogan that was foxy on the tail. Bill Cuddy, his old working pants, and Patsy Nolan's shoes, an old white vest from Fogarty to sport at Killigrews. There was Dan, Millie, Joe, Lily, Tan, and Mrs. Tilly, a-dancing like a little filly, 'twould raise your heart to see. Jim Bryan, Din Ryan, Flipper Smith and Caroline, I tell you boys, we had a time at Killigrews soirée. When I arrived at Betsy Snooks that night at 8:30, the place was blocked with carriages stood waiting at the gate. With Clooney's funnel on me pate, the first words Betsy said, "Here comes the local preacher with the pulpit on his head." There was Bill Muse, Dan Hughes, Wilson Taft and Teddy Roos, while Brian he sat in the blues and looking hard at me. Jim Fling, Tom King, and Johnson, champion of the ring, and all the boxers I could bring at Killigrews soirée. The Saratoga Lancers fished, Miss Betsy kindly said, "Sure, I danced with Nancy Cronin and her granny on the head." And Hogan danced with Betsy, you should have seen his shoes, as he lashed old muskets from the rack that night at Killigrews. There was boiled guineas, cold guineas, bullocks' heads and little winnies, everything to catch the pennies 'twould break your sides to see. A boiled duff, cold duff, apple jam was in the cuff, I tell you boys, we had enough at Killigrews soirée. Crooked Flavin struck the fiddler, and a hand I then took in. You should see George Clooney's beaver flattened to the brim, and Hogan's coat was like a vest, the tails were gone, you see. Oh, says I, the divil haul ye, and your Killigrews soirée.